Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the book Refuge and welcome to another weekly reading wrap up. This is week 45 of 2021, which is just banana. I mean, I say that every time, but it's the truth. Let's turn that down just a little bit because my eyeballs it's getting a little aggressive for me. So yeah, this week was interesting to say the least. Some things were just mediocre. Some things were some of the best that I've ever, not the best I've ever read, but just so much fun. So this is going to be an interesting one to go through. So let's go ahead and dive in. First off, I've already shown this shirt off in other places, but I'm going to show it again. I'm wearing my Beth Dutton shirt, which is what I took a picture of. It's on my Instagram, Beth Dutton State of Mind, because Yellowstone season 4 starts today, if you're seeing this on Sunday, and I'm terrified and excited to watch that. One of 2 TV shows I have watched during the last 2 years. I mean, I think the other one is no surprise. I still watch Outlander, even though it tears my heart out a little bit every time. But anyway, let us dive in because we have some discussions to have. So the first book that I finished this week was Her Soul for Revenge by Harley Leroux. This book I was very excited to read, and I actually tried to make it last a little bit. I mean, it only lasted 2 days, but I tried not to read it all in one session because I wanted to take my time with it. This is book 2 in the Souls trilogy. This one is about another demon. This time his name is Zane, and our heroine's name, I can't remember right this second, but she is a survivor of a attempted human sacrifice. If you've read the first book, which you should probably read before you read this one, and it's kind of overlapping with the first one because this one starts when our heroine is first tried to be sacrificed, which is when she's only a teenager, and since she survived, she's been on the run for all this time, trying to stay away from different demons and creatures that are being sent after her because her soul is supposed to be owed, her life is supposed to be owed for the sacrifice, and since she escaped, she's trying to be caught. Then we have Zane, who is a demon who makes deals for souls, and at one point he really wants our heroine. So he makes it known to all the other demons that no one else is allowed to touch her because she belongs to him. And so this is a good thing, bad thing for our heroine. And he tells her, he's like, when you're ready to make a deal, when you're ready to get back at these people, you'll come to me. I'm going to be the only option for you. You're going to come to me for revenge. And that's what the title is then, Your Soul for Revenge. So this was a 5-star read for me, hands down. I loved it more than I loved the first one. And it's one of those, this is the same way I kind of feel about the J.T. Geisinger books, where I loved Ruthless Creatures, and then I read Carnal Urges. And while Ruthless Creatures was still a 6-star book, Carnal Urges was that much more. That's how I feel about Her Soul for Revenge. I liked Her Soul to Take. It was very campy. It was over the top. The heroine was a bit much. The hero was a bit too much of an asshole. This was happening, but I still loved that book. This one was even more amazing. Our heroine is so fierce. Our hero he just wants to play with her in every way that term implies. He really just wants to play with her. But their dynamic is so fascinating, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I just want to give a few hints, because if you like these kind of kinks, I really want you to give it a try. This one also has some knife play and a little bit of blood play going on, but not over the top, especially in comparison to another book we're going to talk about. It's just lightly. There's body modification in this one as well. If you read the first one, you know what I'm talking about. It involves piercing. Body modification, not it involves piercing. That's what it means. And then there's also, our hero is a bit of a switch, so he does enjoy letting the heroine be in control sometimes as well. And that's probably one of my favorite scenes in this book. And I don't know, these two just really vibed for me in a way that I mean, I knew I was going to like it, but it was amazing. So that was 5 stars for me. Then I was a brave, brave little girl. Also, I didn't know what I was getting into, and I read Into the Dark by Dana Islay. Now, I know a lot of people are just dying over this, and I get it. First off, this is not a romance. This is what I would call a romantic horror novel. That's what I would call it. There is romance happening, but this does not have an HEA. It has a tragedy as an ending, okay? The author hasn't hidden that. Most people reviewing it haven't hidden that. But I just want to reiterate that I'm not going to spoil this for you. But when I say tragedy, I literally mean, like, what's the worst tragedy that could have for a love story? And that's what this has. Now, when we talk about the context of the story, you maybe will feel that it's justified, because I gotta tell you, it was pretty justified to me how this plays out. Like, this is a serial killer. He kills women. He kills women specifically who remind him of his mom, because he was molested by his mother. He was raped by his mother. And his father dies at one point, and then his mother, I believe, like, kills herself because of Father's Day. I don't know exactly what's happening with that. There was lots of flashbacks of this for both our hero and the heroine. Our hero is planning to kill our heroine, but he ends up getting a little bit enamored with her. And when he sees her at a bar getting, like, kind of molested by her ex-boyfriend, he ends up kidnapping the ex-boyfriend and decides that he wants to give his death as a gift to the heroine. Now, our heroine has her own issues. She was, I don't know quite the way to explain to her, but she was assaulted as a young woman. And I will tell you that one of the most powerful parts of this book for me was when I got to the end and I read the author's note from Dana Islay, and you find out that she wrote her own sexual assault as the heroine. So, like, what happens to the heroine as an assault is what happens to her. So that really made me think more highly of this book than I would have just on my own. But we're going to continue. So, yeah, I don't want to spoil the whole thing. But she likes what he's doing. She has certain ways that her brain thinks she's actually in therapy. She wants someone who will be obsessed with her because she believes that obsession is greater than love, and that love, people could lose love, but they won't lose obsession, which she's not right in the head, so we won't analyze that any deeper than it's supposed to be. But these two are gasoline and fire. This book, if there's a trigger, it's in here. Obviously, there is sexual assault of both a young man and a young woman in their past. There is, in this one, blood play and knife play, and it is severe knife play. Like, the things that the hero does with the knife to the heroine that she lets him do to her is crazy. Also, our hero, part of the reason that he kills is that he has kind of a split personality. More that he has an alter ego that's called the Beast, who is the one who does his killing. So that's all I want to say in the form of details. I mean, I was pretty disgusted while I was reading this book. Not because the book itself, like, the content itself was disgusting me. And it's supposed to disgust you. Like, there's some nasty things happening in here. There's some kinks that are not my kinks. And then paired with how it goes, like, I would describe this book, I use this series as an example all the time, but specifically when I'm talking about sociopaths or psychopaths, but it reminded me of a episode of Criminal Minds. And you know how in Criminal Minds you see the perspectives of the killers while they're trying to solve it? It was like we were watching a full episode of Criminal Minds, but only while we were with the killer. And to see how it spirals and how everything kind of just, like, you know, it's like a top that's spinning, and once it gets off balance, it spins completely out of control. That's how I would describe this. So, as I said, very frustrated when I finished the book. I was warned. So this is where it's very interesting to me. Like, I knew what I was getting into to a certain degree because I was told there was no HEA, but I still didn't know, like, what kind of there's not an HEA is it, you know, because there's different ways there can not be an HEA, you know what I mean? So I didn't know what that would mean, and it became very clear that it was going to be a tragedy. And I still stuck it through because I was like, I'm going to finish this so that I can talk about it because I know a lot of people want to know about it. And I was very angry when it was over. Again, I was compartmentalizing because I was like, you knew that this wasn't going to be an HEA, so be careful how angry you get about this. You know, don't like completely go bananas. And then I read the author's note. Like I said, I read Dana's note about where the inspiration for this and how this was cathartic for her to write the heroine as having the same assault, you know, be able to write that. And I thought that was so brave. But it doesn't matter to me because I'm an emotional rater. So I ended up giving this 4 stars because, again, I didn't want to just trash it. But it was not a comfortable reading experience. And not that every experience has to be comfortable, but it also wasn't enjoyable. So it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't enjoyable. Even the sex kind of like icked me out because it was very disturbing. The self-harm, the suicidal thoughts, the way that it ended, this is just not my kind of book at all. And I know that for some people, they're like, oh my God, the feelings, it's so powerful, it makes me feel, and I'm just like, those are not the kind of powerful feelings that I personally want to feel when I'm reading a romance, because it wasn't a romance. So I should have known better. So I spent too much time talking about that, but quite a few of the other books I'm going to talk about this week, I don't have as much to say. I really had a lot to say about these 2 books, and whatever, you guys are used to it by now. You know how long my videos are. I shouldn't be surprised. Okay, then I started the Miles Brothers by Claire Kingsley, which last week I had read a bunch of the Bailey Brothers, which I adored, so I decided to do the Miles Brothers. So I read Broken Miles. This one is about the oldest brother, and this is a second chance romance. So it's a very unique situation. So he actually like lives in the city, and he is a big time business guy, and he's divorced. He's been divorced from his wife for a few years, and his ex-wife actually works at his family home, which is a winery that belongs to his mother's side of the family. And when she divorced him and moved back to town, her mother-in-law asked her to work there because they had a great relationship with her. She had been with the family for years because they'd been dating since they were like in high school. And there is something that happens. The winery is in trouble, which is kind of a theme through the whole series, so I won't go too deep into it because it's something that unfolds throughout the series. But he needs to go home because there's something happening, and now he's in proximity with his ex-wife again. And yeah, I don't need to say anything else. This is the thing about this series. This is probably the angstiest one in the whole series. Well, maybe the next one is more angsty than this. We'll get to it. But this series is just pretty low angst. It's pretty spicy. I will say it wasn't as spicy or as fun as the Bailey Brothers for me. So this one was a 4-star, and spoiler alert, most of the series is like 4 stars for me. And that's not bad. Like, these were very pleasant. They were quick reads. They were still pretty sexy, but it's one of those, and this is something that like kind of annoys me with a contemporary, especially when there's really great sexual tension, is like an author maybe doesn't want to overdo sex scenes. So they give you this first like really great sexy sex scene, and then all the rest of the sex scenes become kind of fade to black, or they just reference the fact that they've been having a lot of sex. I hate that. I hate when that happens. That's really what sets apart like a 4-star contemporary for a 5-star for me. Is like, why did you just take me out of the room? Like, I'm here to be in the room, like with a flashlight looking at what's going on. Just saying. So I gave this 4 stars, and I did like it. I really liked this couple, and I was excited to continue, which I did. But first, I read Sailor Proof by Annabeth Albert. This was on my TBR for November. I wanted to get it started right away. And this was also a viewer recommendation, but the funny part is that it was a viewer recommendation for me, but I'd actually already bought this one. I bought it, I think, the day it came out, because this like just came out. Let me check. Yeah, this one just came out, and I had seen it and bought it because I love, I don't know, this is a male-male romance. This is gay romance, and it's also a naval chief. I'm normally partial to the Marines, but I thought I'd give the Navy a try. And this is a best friend's little brother romance. And one of our heroes is Naval Chief Derek Fox, and he recently broke up with his boyfriend. And that boyfriend started dating another guy on his ship. And so they're going to be having a homecoming. He's actually on a submarine as well, which is kind of cool. So he's used to very close quarters with lots of men and everything. And he knows that his ex-boyfriend is going to be meeting his crewmate and kissing him in front of everybody. And he's feeling sad about that. It's kind of a silly setup, but it's also, I get it. So his best friend says, hey, my little brother Arthur is gay and he's kind of had a crush on you for a while. I bet we could ask him to pretend to be your boyfriend and you guys could kiss and you could be just as cool or whatever. So the little brother agrees to this. He's actually a band nerd who now is like pretty hunky and cute and very like awesome. So they meet each other at the dock and they kiss, and their kiss kind of goes like viral. And the parents of like the two brothers actually end up being there. So now they don't just get a fake kiss. They have to like be fake boyfriend, girlfriend, or boyfriend, sorry. Fake boyfriend. And they decide to just go along with it for a while. And then of course they end up being together. So this was so adorable. It was really great. Really low angst. I really loved this. This was my first Annabeth Albert. I guess she has a whole series that's all military gay romance. And I actually recently purchased another one that's like firefighters. So I enjoyed this. This was definitely 4-star though, just because it didn't really give me anything like extra special, but it was really cute. And there's going to be another one in this series that is about the brother of, or his best friend, who is the older brother of the guy, and he's bi, and that one's gonna be an age gap with like a silver fox single dad. So I'm definitely gonna be continuing this series for sure. Then I read Disciplined by the Duke by Alyson Chase. This was also on my November TBR. I was trying to be productive right at the beginning of the month. This was also a viewer recommendation, also one that I already had on my TBR, because I actually read book 4 in this series during the historical romance readathon earlier this year, and I didn't realize I was reading book number 4 until I started it. This is the only one in the series though that doesn't have an audiobook, so I had to read this one on my Kindle. And yeah, it's actually a maid who is undercover as a maid, and then our Duke, and they fall in love, and she is needing to kind of spy on him to get information to save her sister from being hanged. And so she kind of wants to seduce him, but also she doesn't want to lose her heart. But of course she's going to lose her heart because it's a romance. And as you would guess by being called Disciplined by the Duke, there's a little bit of like kinky kink happening in this one, and it's delightful. The whole series, I believe, is like light BDSM. So this was another 4-star book. You can tell that I had a trend happening. So then I read Forbidden Miles by Claire Kingsley. This was book 2 in the series. This is about one of the other, or no, this one's about the sister, but also this is a brother's best friend, because there's this guy named Chase who is best friends with the heroine Bryn, her brother, and she's actually moved back to town to like live. So after the events of the first book, where again there's some problems in the family, she moves back to home and she's like commuting to school. And for the first time, her brother's best friend Chase, who she's kind of always had a crush on, he's finally noticing her and is like really like nervous for something to happen, but he really wants her. And yeah, so this was another 4-star read though, because I did really like it. My biggest issue was one thing: the fact that Cooper, who's like the best friend, the brother who's the best friend, he just has the craziest reaction. And again, like it's acknowledged in the text later on that he had a crazy reaction. But for me, I get really frustrated with brothers best friend stories where literally the brother is the best friend is a great guy, and the brother is like, oh my gosh, you've slept with too many people, you can't be with my sister. And like, I get it, but I'm also like, but no one would be good enough for your sister. Why is your best friend not good enough for your sister? And again, I know that's some of the appeal of a brother's best friend, but I like it more if the guy actually like has like, that he's a bad boy, and that's why the brother doesn't want them to be together. Like, Chase may like to hook up with girls, but he's a good guy, and so it was just frustrating for me. But it's acknowledged within the text, and it's okay. And yeah, this one was another 4-star. And then I read Reckless Miles, which was Cooper's book, and this one was is this the one? Yeah, this one is, I think it was, this girl was she about to get married? And she, like, I think she gets left at the altar or something. I don't know. But basically they have a one-night stand because he picks her up at a bar, and then this is a surprise baby. This is a surprise baby one. And it was pretty cute. Cooper is just, I love him, and he was a good love interest, but Cooper was also, like, dumb sometimes, and it was just frustrating for me. But these two together were really cute, and I know this is a lot of people's favorite one. It was not my favorite one. We'll talk about my favorite one soon, so this was good. Then I read The Music of Love by Minerva Spencer, also S.M. La Violette. It says both of her names on this one, but I finally wanted to read some more of Minerva Spencer. I was a bit nervous because I had read her erotic series. I think it's called The Victorian Decadence, and I was not a fan because those ones definitely were historical erotica, and they were not as romantic as I would like a romance to be. This one was very interesting for a couple reasons. Number one, our hero has albinism. I don't know how to pronounce that. So he has, like, white hair and eyelashes, and he's very pale, and the sun is very damaging to him. Light is very tough on his eyes. He has very, very pale blue eyes. So he actually has these, like, goggles that are like sunglasses that if he goes outside, he has to, like, wear those, and he has to try to be covered as much as he can. And our heroine, it becomes his piano teacher. So he hires who he thinks is her husband, but it turns out that her husband was lost at sea, and she wanted to get out of town. So she accepted the position on his behalf because she also is a very talented piano player. And our hero, who I think he's just a lord, he agrees to let her stay on as his teacher. They have crazy sexual chemistry. And this ends up being a surprise baby as well. And the reaction that the hero has is it's my favorite. It's my favorite thing. I actually I've read a couple surprise baby in the last few weeks, and they've all been the kind that I love, which is where the heroine immediately tells, and then the hero is just like, yay, a baby! You know, whether or not they're like, let's get married right away, they're like, wow, a baby. That's my favorite thing. And I know that's not always realistic, but sometimes it is. And especially for this hero who he's been hurt before, and he didn't think he'd get to be a parent. So he's very excited about it, and I love that. The reason this one was a 4-star for me is that there was a bit of a crazy conflict at the end that was just like, whoa, what the hell is happening? So I couldn't quite give it 5 stars, but the first half of it was 5 stars. The last 20% was like a 3-star, so we're at a 4-star, and it was good. And I'm definitely going to continue the series because I believe there's going to be 7 books. There's currently 3 of them out, and the series is called like Lessons in Love, and each one is like a teacher and a student kind of thing, but like different kinds of teachers, right? Like piano teacher, there'll be other different kinds. So I will probably continue this series because I mean, I like Minerva Spencer, and these ones are pretty sexy and fun. Like the sexy times in this one were great. Then I read Still King by Devney Perry. My friends finally convinced me to try this one. I actually owned this one for quite a while, but I bought it when it still had the previous title. So the series is called the Clifton Forge series, and it's about an ex-motorcycle group. Now, I do not know enough about this author or enough about what was happening to like have a comment at all. I just knew that there was issues because this motorcycle group is called the Tin Gypsies, and this book used to be called like Gypsy King. And actually, my copy in my book still says that because even though they've changed, she's now changed the covers, changed the title, changed all that stuff, my file on my Kindle never updated, so it's still called Gypsy King online. So I had kind of held off reading it just because I was like, I've heard it's a good series. I don't need the drama, whatever. Well, now they're renamed. The only thing is, within the books, and specifically the audiobooks, like, they're still called the Tin Gypsies. So, like, that word is throughout the book. But this is a very interesting story. So our heroine is a reporter. The hero is the president, or his dad was the president. His father gets accused of murdering his, mistress type person. And our heroine is the reporter. So she's trying to prove it. And they end up, he convinces her to team up with him because he's like, I want you to help me investigate this because you seem to have all of the leads. And he's like, if my dad did do it, then the evidence will show that. And if it didn't, then you want to be printing the right stuff, don't you? So there's that. I had a good time with this. I gave this 4 stars. I am definitely intrigued to continue the series. I know Crystal binged the entire series this week, and I was feeling a little left out, but also I have a lot of other stuff to get through. So I was like, we'll save that series. Maybe that'll be a series that I do in 2022. I don't know. We'll see. But I did enjoy this one a lot. I thought it was really unique. And the things that I like the most is that it still has that found family aspect of a motorcycle club, because even though the club is disbanded for reasons that we slowly begin to discover, they still have that found family aspect between them, and that's really what I love, without all of the biker slang and things that I don't like. So it's a win-win for everybody, right? Then I read Hidden Miles by Claire Kingsley. This was book 4 in the series. This is about Leo, and this one is my favorite in the series. This is a wounded hero. He was part of kind of a special forces in the army, and he has horrible scars on part of his body. He's also the IT guy at the ranch, the winery, and he has not left the winery since he set foot there when he got home from the hospital. He has never left. So our heroine is in an abusive relationship, okay? But her and Leo actually game together. They are gamer buddies, and they talk to each other at all hours of the day and night while they're playing games together. And how do we explain this? But our heroine is in an abusive relationship with her boyfriend, who is a police officer. So she's in a tight spot. She's been wanting to leave him for a long time, but she's too scared to do it right now. So she happens to need to go to a wedding with her boyfriend, and this wedding is at the winery. And Leo happens to be, he stops by the wedding reception to get something done, and he hears her voice, and he knows without a doubt that this is the woman that has been in his ear for years, for 3 years. They've been friends online, and he doesn't know what to do about it. So he goes back home and he doesn't say anything. And then when he games with her again, she talks about the fact that she went to the wedding, and he doesn't say anything. Well, her boyfriend comes home, and they end up having a screaming match, and he throws some things, and the police get called, and they make it so she's able to they make him leave with them, but because he's a police officer, they give him some slack. And so she leaves. And she doesn't know where she's going to go or what she's going to do, but she ends up back at the winery, and she just thinks that it's beautiful there. So she hangs out at one of their because there's you can eat, or there's a bistro, whatever is there. And she overhears some certain things that for some, this part's seriously, some of this is just, it's so unbelievable. But the cat that belongs to Leo, this cat is named after her. It has the same nickname as her, and she thinks, wow, that's weird. And then there's some other things she overhears about this brother who works there, and so she asks, who ends up being Cooper, she asks Cooper, do you have a brother? Is he a gamer? Is his name Leo? She starts asking these questions, and he's so Cooper knows about this gamer friend, and so he brings her to his house, his room there, and is this is Hannah. this is Briggs, whatever her name is. This is her. And so she ends up finding a home at the winery. There we go. But anyway, this was my favorite one. I gave this 4.5 stars. I have not read the novella yet. There's a novella that is about the mom, but I will soon. I'm saving it for a rainy day. Then I read Appealed by Emma Chase. This is the third book in the Legal Brief series. This is a best friends to enemies to lovers, I guess. They're both lawyers. Our heroine is just moved to town, and she is the new she's on the prosecution team, and our hero, he's with his buddies and their defense attorneys, and they end up going up against each other, and he wants to know why this woman who used to be his friend is no longer his friend, and she seems to have a vendetta against him that he just doesn't understand. And so this is about finding out what that vendetta is and then dealing with it. This book was 5 stars for me. There is some like deep discussions that happen in this book that is like too much to explain in like a wrap up of this, but this was fascinating. The reasons why they were no longer friends, they had kind of a near miss of a relationship back when they were in high school at boarding school, and then things just blew up and got so out of control, and there was a lot of lies that were told about each other by other people to them, and it was, yeah, it was crazy. But I loved this one. I gave it 5 stars. Then I read Making Up by Helena Hunting. This is one of the books in the, I don't even know what the series is called, the Shacking Up series, I think. I'm making my way through this series. This one is about one of the brothers, and he's one of the more uptight brothers, and he drew the short straw, and he actually needs to go to a sex shop to buy props for the bachelor party for one of the other brothers who's getting married. And then our heroine is a like 22, 23-year-old college student who works at this sex shop. So he's 33 and she's 22, and he's like really into her. So he comes back to the shop like 2 weeks later and gives her his phone number, and she thinks that like this isn't gonna work, but she agrees to go on a date with him, and they discover that they are like, their age gap is more than either of them does. Like she's like, you're too old for me, and he's like, you're too young for me, but we have this crazy connection. There was a lot of starts and stops in this relationship. There's a lot of crazy things in our hero's past. Not like crazy, but like ex-girlfriend kind of drama. And I don't know, but I liked it. It was cute. It was really sexy. Unfortunately, not as many toys were used as I wish there were for them having met at a sex shop. But it was a good time. It was a good time, and I gave this one 4 stars. Then I read Tied With Me by Kristen Proby. I don't want to spend too much time on this book. I gave this book 3.5 stars. It was on track to be a 5-star read, so we'll get into this really quick. I've read other books by Kristen Proby. This is part of her Seattle universe. This one is about a heroine who is a baker. She has diabetes and PCOS. She has been taking care of her health, so she is pretty trim and fit, but she is someone who has lost weight because she was a bit overweight and she was pretty sick. And actually one of her ex-boyfriends, who she's still friends with, he really helped her get control of her health, and so she's good. So I was really excited about that because that mirrors my own journey in certain aspects. Then we have our hero, who's a police officer. He's a police officer or detective, and he is also a master of sharabi. So he is a dom or a top, and mostly for bondage and not for a lifestyle situation. He just likes to be in control in the bedroom. He likes restraints. He likes all that fun stuff. Our heroine happens to go to this like BDSM ball with one of her friends, and there's all these exhibitions showing about these different kinks and like fun different ways to do it. And so with her clothes on, our hero actually like does a tie for her, and then he asked her, do you belong to anybody? And she doesn't understand why she's so turned on, because she was sure she wouldn't like this, but she wanted to try it because the ropes look really pretty and everything. And so they end up having a one-night stand and just like are super into each other, and she's just really into him dominating her just in the bedroom, but she's like, I don't think I'd want to be in a lifestyle like this. And anyway, he gets a phone call. She assumes that it's from a wife. She thinks he's cheating on her. No, it's actually his sister calling about an accident she was in. So they don't see each other then for a couple weeks. Then she has made cupcakes for a wedding, and it happens to be his cousin's wedding, and they meet each other again. And he's like, no, I'm not married. That was my sister. And then I didn't have your number. And she's like, I don't want to go out with you because I don't want to date a dom. And he's like, well, can't we just talk about the kind of dynamic that I like? And she's like, no. But he gets her phone number from the person whose wedding it is, and then he reaches her. He comes to her bakery. A whole thing happens. Okay, anyway. This is adorable. The first 80% of this book is adorable. I love the discussion about dynamic, the discussion about the beginning of BDSM. If you are interested in like shirabi, this is really cool, although they don't do a ton of shirabi. But anyway, the problem with this book, the reason that our heroine breaks up with this hero is because she sees how good she was with kids, and she can't have kids because of her PCOS and diabetes. It would be very dangerous for her to have a kid. So she breaks up with him without letting him discuss it with her or talk about what he actually wants. She's like, I know I'd be taking something away from you, so I'm breaking up with you for your own good. Then, instead of talking about it with him, which maybe she would have, but his mother actually goes to talk to her and is like, why do you think that the only way for you to like be a mom is for you to have kids? Like, do you realize that half of my family is adopted and like all these things? So I understand, like, and here's the thing. And I had like a big venting session with Crystal about this, is like, I understand that it is still hard when you know that your body can't have kids if that's what you want, you know? Because this is something that I struggle with. I don't have anybody in my life. Maybe by the time I want to have kids, I won't be able to. Am I making enough changes now and healthy decisions that I am able to have kids? I have friends who have PCOS and they've had multiple miscarriages before they're able to carry to term, like all these things, okay, all these things that are like kind of triggers for me or things that are difficult, and for her to just say that like, no, the only way that I can, and it isn't even that like she is like, I want to be able to have a kid with my own body. No, she's saying that he won't accept her if it's not that. And then when the mom is like, you realize like you could adopt kids or you could do this or whatever, it was like our heroine had never heard of adoption before. Not even that she wasn't open to it. It was like she had never heard of it before. And I was just flabbergasted. So this book just hit me so wrong. I have loved ones in my life that are adopted. I have many people in my family who can't have kids. It's why I'm trying to make healthy decisions for myself so that if or when I'm able to do that, I can. So this book just hit a lot of triggers for me, and I was so sad about it because it was a 5-star book until our heroine just like, poof, I don't know what happened. So moving on from that. Then I read Things I Wanted to Say But Didn't by Monica Murphy. Yes, I finally finished this. This is a bully romance. This is a prep school romance. This is degradation and praise kink. This is extreme bullying, honestly. Slut shaming, horrible treatment. Our heroine likes degradation. She likes the things our hero does to her. And I just didn't vibe with this book. I know everyone wanted me to. I know people were excited about it. And I even had some people say that like, oh, but the turn at the end was so good. It wasn't for me. It really wasn't for me. The sex was really hot. The last like 5%, like literally the last 2 chapters in the epilogue, I really liked what I got to see from the hero and the heroine. But there was just too much fuckery in this book for me. I'm sorry. It doesn't work for me. The hero was a complete and utter jackass, and not in the sexy way. And the fact that the heroine was always just like ready for it, that's not what I want to see. Like, even if someone likes degradation and praise kink, it does not mean that they are a pushover and that they will let someone treat them like shit. Okay? That's not what I want to read. If you like degradation and praise kink, for me, I want you to be like the baddest ass woman ever, but you also like it when he smacks you around a little bit and calls you a slut. Like, that's what I want to see personally. I did not like this guy. I gave this 4 stars. It's probably more of a 3.5 for me. Sorry. Didn't work for me. But also, so this was, what I want to say about that though, is part of it is that I am not in the mood for asshole heroes right now. Like, there will be a phase because I like a lot of assholes, okay? I do. But I'm not in a phase where I want them, and the kind of bully that this hero was not vibing for me. It's part of the reason that I'm trying to get through more of the Underworld King books, which we're going to talk about one in a minute. And it's like every author wrote their hero exactly the same way in this series. And so it's really tough for me to find one that I really like because all these heroes are the same asshole, just a different book. And so I'm just like, God, is there a different way you can write Mafia? Like, this doesn't have to be a one-trick pony, okay? It doesn't. Sassy Jen is coming out, I'm sorry. Then I got to read Queen by Katee Robert. This will be coming out in December, the beginning of December. I would bet she drops it early. Katee Robert does that shit all the time. But this is the third and final book in the vampire trilogy. This is a reverse harem. This is a, like, breeding kink type of thing. I don't know what this third book was, you guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what she was doing or how we were wrapping this up. But it was weird. And one thing I said to my friend, I don't know if it's because I've been reading more polished books of hers lately. You know, like her Dark Olympus books are fantastic. And they have a lot of editors working on them. Even her, like, Bastard's Betrayal, I feel like because it had been so long since she had written the Mafia books, I don't know, that one just worked for me so well. But Queen, I don't know, it wasn't as sexy as the other ones. I also did not like how the heroine, because, like, the whole purpose of the series was that she needed to have an heir for her dad. And they were actively trying to get her pregnant in the first 2 books. And now she's pregnant, and I know this, okay? I've never carried a baby myself, but I have so many loved ones who talk to me about their pregnancy experiences. My sister right now, she hates being pregnant. She hates it, okay? But she loves her kids and she loves having babies. So she's like, I have to go through this 9 months of hell so that I can have my kids and I can love it. But the way that the heroine in the beginning of this book was talking about the child inside her and the baby, or the it that's growing inside her, was just grating on my nerves. Like, I understand that that's a style choice and that's how some people feel. But it's not comfortable for me and it's not how I feel, and I don't care. Like, I think you get it by now that pregnancy is like a trigger for me, and when it's talked about in like derogatory terms, I just get upset. And specifically in this one, it's not like it was a surprise or it was an accidental pregnancy. Like, for 2 books, we've been trying to fuck this woman till she was pregnant. And now she is. And we're like, maybe we should get rid of it because it's dangerous. And I'm like, I was just irritated. And I don't know if this is an agenda to make it of just like, oh, we got to remind her she has a choice. I'm like, then why were you fucking her with no condom for the past how many months so that she would get pregnant and then be like, oh, but maybe you shouldn't keep it? Not the story to do that in, okay? Not the story to do that. This isn't an accidental pregnancy or a surprise baby. You planned for this to happen, and then you say, oh, maybe we don't want it because it might be dangerous. Like, no, okay? I can put up with that stuff when it's a surprise baby or when it's in a contemporary where this is not a good time for us to have a kid or this or whatever. But I'm sorry, the fact that this baby is not an accident, you'll purposely plan for it. And then you're like, maybe we don't need it. I'm just like, oh God. I don't know. That's my point being, is like, what was the story arc here? And again, I don't know if this is also because this book got pushed off so far. Katee Robert has a lot going on. I still respect her. I still love her books, but this was a miss for me. I love the first 2 books in this. This wasn't even that sexy. It had all this other plot stuff we had to do. And it just goes to show to me that, like, Katee needs to write a full story, because when she does, those are the best. Like, there's a reason why her Dark Olympus books are head and shoulders above a lot of the other stuff she does. Not that those ones aren't fun, not that they aren't kinky and amazing. I love the villains. I love a lot of her just like taboo kinky shit, but the stories aren't great because they're not like planned out and plotted well. Like, she's working on a fantasy. I'm freaking excited about that because there will need to be a lot of stuff set up in place for it to happen. But I don't know, this just didn't jive with me. I gave it 4 stars because it was an arc and I didn't want to slam it. But this, like, it just didn't fit with the other books in the series for me. And I thought it was lazy. And it spent a lot of time introducing, like, her monster series, which I'm very excited for her monster books. But this book is only 140 pages to begin with because they're novella length. And there was a good 20 of those pages spent on setting up the monster series. So, whatever. I just feel like she got tired of writing this series partway through, and then that's what happened. I read The Alpha by Jenika Snow. This is the 4th book in the Lycan series. Nothing was really new in this from the other ones. It was sexy. It was an instant connection. It was hot. It was 4 stars. All right. All the ranting has led to this. I bought Lore Olympus Volume 1 on Tuesday. I happened to be sick on Thursday, and I binged all 25 of these. So this is what we'll be talking about. But I didn't stop there. I read the entire series on webtoons in 12 hours. That's 183 episodes. So I'm a webtoons fan now. So if there are any other webtoons that are super sexy, this one is not super sexy. It's adorable. Let me know. But anyway, so this is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It's adorable. Persephone is in the human world for the first time, or not the human world. She's in Olympus for the first time, and she's going to be going to school there, and she gets an internship at Hades, the underworld, and she's supposed to like work there with him. Hades has an on-again, off-again girlfriend who's a little bit abusive, her Minthe, and yeah, it's a forbidden love story. It's adorable. Like, I don't even know what else to say. Let's find a cute one to show. Like, there's trigger warnings for coercive sexual situations, not by the hero. And yeah, there's a few tough topics. Let's find something pretty. I don't know. Where's a cute one? Oh my gosh, just like, look at this. And it doesn't just focus on Hades and Persephone. They are obviously the main focus, but we get to see a lot of everyone else too. So anyway, this was 5 stars. This was amazing. And then yeah, like, here's the thing. Webtoons is free. All of the episodes were free except the last 3, and those only cost like 10 cents to open them up or whatever. It's amazing. Like, the only sad thing is like 25 volumes, we're like barely into the story. I really wish that they put out more episodes per volume. The way it is now, they'll literally be at least 8 volumes. So I hope that there also eventually is like an omnibus that has the complete first season in it. So we'll see. So I love this. It was adorable. I understand why all my friends liked it. I am glad that I waited a while to read it, because there was a pretty like, there was a couple places that it would have been really annoying to have to stop there. And through episode 183, there was actually like something that I've been waiting for it to happen for like 150 episodes, and it finally happened, and it was amazing. So loved it. Then I read Handle with Care by Helena Hunting. This is another book in the, what is this series called? The Shacked Up? Is it called? It just says also by, but this one is about Lincoln Moorhead, and our heroine is Wren. Yeah, another book with one of my niece's names. And this one, he has had to come back to take over some duties because his father recently died, and Wren is like his handler to help him be acceptable in society. And I listened to this one on audio. It was cute. Yeah, it was 4 stars. And then the last book that I read was Twisted Obsession by Dani Renee. And this is one of the Underworld Kings. This is one of the ones I was talking about where the hero is just such a jerk. This one is our heroine is getting given to him in an arranged marriage. She, I believe, is only like 17 at the beginning of this, so it's also kind of like a taboo thing. She is also a dancer, and she is going to be living with him until they get married as well. He really just wants her to fall for him so he can break her, but he discovers that she likes it rough. This one does have knife play and blood play in it. It's pretty kinky. There's some degradation in this one too. The story was just like, I don't know. I honestly wish, I don't know how much the authors collaborated while doing this series. And I know that they're each standalones, but they also are each like too alike to each other. This one, so much of this one reminded me of Marriage and Malice, which I read a couple weeks ago. So much of it. And so they're just starting to like blur together for me. So I honestly recommend in this series that you look up what the synopses are and just pick the ones that are interesting to you. because otherwise they start to get a bit repetitive. And I'm sorry to end it on a Debbie Downer phase, but this one was a 3.5 star. So, all right, that was a lot of aggressive talking. I know that some of that was a bit like sassy today, but I had some interesting reads this week, some that were just absolutely magical and some that were super frustrating, but there we go. It was 19 books that I got through, which is pretty cool. I'm starting to prepare stuff for the end of the year already, which is bananas. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. If you made it all the way to the end of this, give me like a, is there a leaf? Is there like a fall leaf or leaves or something like that? Or a tree? I don't know. Give me that as an emoji. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.